Welcome to Module 6, Assemblies. In Unit 1, we are going to see first interface and important relationships. We start with a new isometric assembly. This is a different interface because we are working with assemblies, not with parts. And this is the assembly we are going to construct. It is quite simple. Two flanges with screws and nuts. We have the parts already constructed and we insert a component. You click on the first flange and just drag. This is our first component, which is ground. That's it. You can't move it, although you can always delete the relationship if you need. Now I click on the second flange to insert the flange in my assembly. And now I have to indicate the relationship I want. For example, planar align or mate. I'm going to state planar align and see what happens. I choose these two faces and the two flanges are aligned. So I can now flip and I change. This will be the mate relation. So both of them can be changed with the flip command. You have here the relationships for every part you have. If I state now relationship mate between the two faces, and I can change the point of view and see both faces are mate. You have to construct your assembly with the relationships. I can state now axis align between them, between this axis and the other axis of our flange. And if I see the top view, you see the holes are not aligned. So I need another relationship to align the holes. So I indicate axial align between one of the holes of one flange with the other axis of the other hole in the other flange. And now the holes are perfectly aligned. That is what I need. Now I want to insert the screw. So I click and drag. I have here my screw and I can use another relationship, the insert relationship, very useful for this example. I click on the axis of the screw and the hole and the face of the screw and a face of the flange, and see how I can insert the screw. If you don't like this position, you want to rotate the screw because, for example, you have to do a draft and maybe you need another point of view. For example, you can do this. you can align this face with a reference plane. See, now you prefer to see this point of view of the screw, but of course now you have to align. Here you have the relationship. You can delete it because you have the position. You delete the relationship, and now you align the axis. So now you have a different position for your screw. We are going to mate this face with the top face of the flange, and now you will see the screw. You see, let's say, the three faces of the screw. Maybe you prefer it is more clear for a draft. So I changed the position. If you don't need it, you could leave it as it was previously. Now I'm going to do a pattern. I select the screw, the command pattern. I select my screw. I select the part which has the pattern and the pattern I want to follow. So I don't need to insert 8 times my screw. I can do a pattern. I have here my 2 flanges with my screws. Next step, the nut, and I will have to do the same operations. I will have to state relationships, for example, axle align between the nut and the screw. They must have the same axis, and I can mate the face of the nut with a face of the flange. I suppose I have chosen not correctly. I'm going to repeat the operation. Okay, I'm going to mate this face of the nut with this face. I have to wait and select correctly the face, and now I have my nut inserted on my assembly. I can do the same thing. I can do a pattern, and here I have all my nuts. You can open one of the flange, and I can change my flange. For example, I'm just going to change the color. You see, from my assembly, I can open one of the components and change what I need. In this case, just, for example, the color. I close, I save first, and I can go back to my assembly and see how, of course, I have the flange with the changes I have done. You can open a component from the assembly and change anything you want. This is the end of Module 6, Unit 1. In Unit 2, we will use command create part in place.